and 3 years,
Right.
and begat sons and daughters. And Eber lived 430 years, and begat Peleg. And Eber lived after he begat Peleg 430 years, and begat sons and daughters.
Right.
And Peleg lived 30 years, and begat Reu. And Peleg lived after he begat Reu 209 years, and begat sons and daughters.
Right.
And Reu lived 32 years, and begat Serug. And Reu lived after he begat Serug 207 years, and begat sons and daughters. And Serug lived 30 years, and begat Nahor.
Nahor, which was Abraham's grandfather. Keep going.
And Serug lived after he begat Nahor 200 years, and begat sons and daughters. And Nahor lived 29 years, and begat Terah. And Nahor lived after he begat Terah 119 years, and begat sons and daughters.
Right.
And Terah lived 70 years, and begat Abram, Nahor, and Haran.
So he begat Abram. Keep going.
Now these are the generations of Terah. Terah begat Abram, Nahor, and Haran begat Lot.
Okay, so we can see where Abram comes from. You understand? Let's jump down to the 31st verse.
Genesis chapter 11, verse 31. And Terah took Abram his son, and Lot the son of Haran, his son's son, and Sarai his daughter-in-law, his son Abram's wife. And they went forth with them from Ur of the Chaldees.
They went forth with them from Ur of the Chaldees. So, when they got off the boat, okay, this is the area where Ham settled. You understand? Right around Africa. This northern region right here. You understand? Libya and going down into this region. Libya all the way to where you see Egypt, Sudan, going down into Ethiopia. Okay, that's where Ham settled. You understand? Going all the way across up north and then a little bit over east. Shem, he settled around the Middle East, like Saudi Arabia, you understand, Israel, Iraq, you understand, and then this part right here. This is what they call the Middle East, you understand? This is where Shem is. And Chaldee, Ur, is right in Saudi Arabia, you understand? That's where the Chaldees, Iraq. That's where the Chaldees, you understand, or Ur, is ancient Mesopotamia or Iraq, you understand? That's what they called it at the time. So it's right around that Iraq, Saudi Arabia area, you understand? That's why the Most High said, take them up and go into Israel, you understand? So the land of Chaldees or Ur is right around this area, you understand? Right around that Iraq, Saudi Arabia area right there, you understand? That's where Abraham and his family were, you understand? That's where Abraham and his family were, the land of Ur or Mesopotamia or what they call it, you understand? And Japheth settled right around Europe, you understand? Japheth settled around Europe. So when you got Ashkenaz and Gogomar and, Tabal, this is that area right here, you understand? Now, we know that the Europeans are there now, you understand? But really, the dark-skinned, or what they call dark-skinned Asians, and you can actually still see some of these dark-skinned Asians that's in, Southeast Asia right now because they got moved east. But this is the original landmass of what they inhabited, you understand? So if you read about prophecies of Gomar and, Magog and Gomar, it's really talking about the Asians, you understand? Not the Europeans or not the Russians, you understand? Because this landmass right here really belonged to Japheth, you understand? So we just wanted to show that Abraham was actually coming out of this area right here, you understand? Once they got off the boat, Shem settled around this area, and his family separated around this area. The Hamites went around this area, and like I said, the generations told about the flood, you understand? Because they said that, ancient records got Ethiopia having certain records of the flood and things like that. Well, of course, Ham told his son, you understand? Ham told his son, Shem told his son, you understand? And then Japheth told their children about it. So you're going to have the same account, the same writings on certain, papyrus papers and certain type of Stonehenge, you understand? You're going to have those writings on those particular documents, because those areas was inhabited by the children from Noah, you understand? Let's go over to the book of Jasher. The book of Jasher. Let's get that. Book of Jasher, 9 and 5. The 9th chapter and the 5th verse. Because we want to get this beginning of time, you understand, before we go into this Egypt thing. We want to see that this landmass, first of all, the Negroes are separate from the Hamites, and then we just show, you understand, where Africa, the word came from, then where Shem, Ham, and Japheth, they actually settled, you understand? Let's get Jasher 9 and 5.
All right, the book of Joshua, chapter 9, verse 5.
Okay.
And when Abram came out from the cave,
so we just read about Abraham being in the land of the Chaldees, right? We're going to see the birth of Abraham. Keep going.
he went to Noah and his son Shem.
He went to Noah and his son Shem. So Shem and Noah were actually alive at the time of Abraham. Keep going.
And he remained with them to learn the instructions of the Most High and his ways.
Right.
And no man knew where Abram was, and Abram served Noah and Shem, his son, for a long time.
Right, exactly. So it says, Abram came out from the cave, he went to Noah and Shem, and said, Abram served Noah and Shem and his son for a long time. Verse 6.
And Abram was in Noah's house 39 years.
So Abram was in Noah's house 39 years. So almost a span of 40 years that he learned the ways of the Most High, you understand, from Noah. And then it got passed down to Shem, you understand? So Noah had the information, you know, because Enoch had the information, that he passed it down. And so Noah, you understand, before the flood, he taught his son that, you understand? And so it just became. And so Abraham, when he lived with them, you understand, he knew about this stuff. He knew about the mathematics, astronomy, which was why he was able to take the information to Egypt, you understand? Because he knew about the stuff from his forefathers. The Most High was still working with Israel or through that line, you understand? Through Enoch and then through Noah, through Shem. And then Abraham stayed with them 39 years, almost a span of 40 years, you understand? Read that again.
Joshua 9 and 6. And Abram was in Noah's house 39 years.
39 years.
And Abram knew the Most High from 3 years old.
So Abram knew the Most High from 3 years old. Keep going.
And he went in the ways of the Most High until the day of his death.
Right, so he continued to follow in the way of the Most High until his death. Now, if Abraham knew the ways, he would teach his son, right? Isaac. If Isaac knew the ways, he would teach his son, Jacob. Jacob knew the ways, they would teach their sons, you understand? So prior to even going into Egypt, they knew they was the chosen and they had this knowledge, you understand? So remember that. Before they went into Egypt, they knew they was the chosen, the 70 souls. They knew it because why? Abraham taught this to them. You understand? Abraham studied under Shem and Noah. So the lineage continued with Isaac, with Jacob, into the 12 sons. You understand? And they was going to take that information into Egypt. So when you see certain things like the circumcision on the hieroglyphics, you understand? Why? Because they had this information going into Egypt. You understand? Abraham circumcised Isaac. So of course it's going to be on the hieroglyphics. If you in slavery for 435 years, of course, you understand? But keep reading.
And he went in the ways of the Most High until the day of his death.
Right.
As Noah and his son Shem had taught him.
As Noah and his son Shem had taught him.
And all the sons of the earth in those days greatly transgressed against the Most High.
Right.
And they rebelled against him, and they served other gods.
And they served other gods, you understand? They served other gods. Why? Because obviously Japheth or Japhet, you understand, or Ham didn't keep up the ways of the Most High, you understand? Only Shem kept it up, you understand? Shem kept up the true way of understanding. He didn't depart from his father. Keep going.
And they forgot the Most High who had created them in the earth.
And they forgot the Most High who created them, you understand? So over time, you understand, only Shem and his family continued the ways of the Most High, you understand? Ham and Japheth, they went off. They served other gods. They forgot the way that what Noah taught them, you understand? Keep going.
And the inhabitants of the earth made unto themselves at that time every man his God.
Every man his God, you understand? So this is how you get that multiple gods from, you understand? So when you see certain, you know, documents and, you know, just certain, you know, tombs that they be pulling up and certain, you know, artifacts, these are actually other false gods, you understand? But what? They still had some of that knowledge that Noah actually taught them, you understand? So just like when you get the 42 laws of what they call Mayat or whatever like that, there were still certain principles that got installed in Ham when he took it to Mizraim, when he took it to Ethiopia, you understand? They still had certain customs that they learned from Noah, you understand? So if they, you know, claiming the Bible was plagiarized, no, it's just that Noah already had these laws before there was any such thing as Moses, you understand? They already had these laws. So if Noah had the laws and then Shem had the laws, obviously Noah told his other sons. They just went off and started attributing it to other gods, you understand? But the information, they still kept certain core principles, you understand? They knew what clean and unclean animals, you understand? So if you're telling your children about it, sometimes, you know, you're going to tell your children and then they might go off. But Shem kept up the ways. Let's keep reading.
gods of wood and stone, which could neither speak, hear, nor deliver.
See, gods of wood and stone, going right back into Christianity, going right back into Muslim, you understand? Even going right back into Egyptology, you understand? Gods of wood and stone, even back then, they still went off. You understand? That's why the Most High had to separate us. You understand? Okay, these is my laws. This is my way. He had to reinforce the laws to the children of Israel. If you in slavery for that long, you understand, we're going to read about how they actually put us into slavery, the certain taxes that they used in the book of Joshua. It tells you how the children of Israel actually went into slavery in Egypt. Like what was the mindset of the certain pharaohs in time. But if you in slavery for that long, of course you're going to lose some history. You're going to lose some identity. You're going to lose how to follow your God. You understand? You're going to follow the ways of the Egyptians. You trying to be just like the Negroes here today. You understand? They following Christmas and everything like that. So you got to actually think about us in America right now as in us in Egypt. You understand? You in captivity for 400 plus years. You're going to start picking up some of their ways. You understand? So it's no wonder they follow Osiris and, certain things that came after Nimrod. You understand? They great-great-grandfather. You understand? Nimrod was a Hamite. You understand? He's from the line of Cush. Cush was Miss Ryan's brother. You understand? So of course, they're going to cleave to his ways, but we're Shemitic. Okay? Keep reading.
And the sons of men served them, and they became their gods.
And they became their gods. You understand? They became their gods. Now, all right, let's go to Genesis, the 12th chapter. Genesis 12. 12 and 9.
And we like their works.
Genesis 12 and 9. Let's get that out of the Bible right now. And let's see Abraham going into Egypt. So we just know that Abraham was in the land of the Chaldees, right? Abraham was in the land of the Chaldees, which is somewhere around where Shem settled, you understand, that Iraq area, or Mesopotamia, or what they call it, you understand. Abraham was around that area, you understand. So now we're going to go into him traveling out of there and going into Egypt, you understand? Brother Mike, can you read that while Brother Ariel comes back, 12 and 9?
Okay.
You can come up here.
Genesis 12 and 9. Mm-hmm. And Abram journeyed, going on, still toward the south.
Right.
And there was a famine in the land. And Abram went down into Egypt to sojourn. Therefore the famine was grievous in the land.
So the famine was grievous in the land, you understand? That's why he had to go up to Egypt, you understand? Keep going.
And it came to pass, when he was come near to enter into Egypt, that he said unto Sarah, his wife, Behold, now I know that thou art a fair woman to look upon.
Okay, so we know that Abraham is now going into Egypt, you understand? She's fair to look upon. And we can actually skip that story right there, because that's just going into Pharaoh and him liking Sarah, you understand? So we can pick it up in the Antiquities, Book 1, the Josephus. Let's see what Abraham taught the Egyptians when he went into Egypt. We see that Abraham went into Egypt, right? So remember, Abraham had the knowledge. He studied under Shem and Noah for 39 years, you understand? He studied under Shem and Noah for 39 years. This is prior to going into Egypt, you understand? So he had all the knowledge. Enoch taught his sons, and it actually went down to Noah, you understand? So that line still had the ways of the Most High. Let's go to the book of Josephus, Antiquities of the Jews. Now let's get book 1. Let's see what Abraham taught. Antiquity of the Jews in the Josephus. So we're Antiquity of the Jews, book 1, chapter 8. So we Antiquity of the Jews, book 1, chapter 8, paragraph 2.
All right. For whereas the Egyptians were formerly addicted to different customs.
So it says, for whereas the Egyptians, or the Mizraim, were formerly addicted to different customs. Keep going.
And despised one another's sacred and accustomed rites.
Right, they despised another one of sacred and accustomed rites. So they was disputing about which custom they should actually follow, which God they should follow, you understand? Which tradition they should hold on to. Keep going.
and were very angry one with another on that account.
Right.
Abram conferred with each of them.
Abram conferred with each of them. So this is when Abraham went and sojourned into Egypt. Keep going.
And confuting the reasonings they made use of.
And confuting the reasons they made use of. So Abraham had to confer with them, and he made certain arguments with them, like, no, you don't use this for this. You understand? This is the way you use it for it. When he's talking about the astronomy, it's going to tell you that. Keep going.
Everyone for their own practices demonstrated that such reasonings were vain and void of truth.
Right, they were vain and void of truth. You understand? These Egyptians and what they was following, it was vain and void of truth. You understand? Now we know why they try to erase the history of the Israelites, or some type of invention that, nobody could teach the Egyptians nothing. They had all the knowledge, you understand? And that the Greeks actually stole the information from the Egyptians, not knowing that Israel, you understand, was in Egypt. Keep going.
Whereupon he was admired by them in those conferences as a very wise man.
So he was admired by him as a very wise man, the man who had knowledge of the Most High. You understand? Keep going.
And one of great sagacity.
Right, one of great knowledge. Keep going.
When he discoursed on any subject he undertook.
When he discoursed on any subject he undertook, because he studied under Noah and Shem. You understand? For 39 years. Keep going.
And this not only in understanding it.
And this not only in understanding it,
but in persuading other men also to assent to him.
Right, so they got persuaded, like, oh man, yeah, the Most High's with you. I believe you're right. You understand? Keep going.
He communicated to them arithmetic and delivered to them the science of astronomy.
See that? Your mathematics, arithmetic, and the science of astronomy. You understand? Enoch talks about the luminaries. You understand? And how the courses of the sun and courses of the Sabbath. You understand? How did Abraham get that information? You understand? Through Noah and Shem. He the one that taught the Egyptians this. You understand? This is when he went over into Egypt. So this is not only did the Israelites know and bring it over, but Abraham went and brought it to their kings and priests. You understand? They're kings and priests. So he brought the understanding of astronomy and arithmetic. You understand? How to build certain things. You understand? With geometry and certain circles. You understand? So Abraham knew these things. Keep going.
For before Abram came into Egypt.
For before Abram came into Egypt.
They were unacquainted with those parts of learning.
See, they didn't even know those parts of learning. You understand? They were unacquainted with those parts of learning. They didn't know about astronomy. They didn't know about mathematics. You understand? They didn't know about these things. Keep going.
For that science came from the Chaldeans into Egypt, and from thence to the Greeks also.
Right, came from the Chaldeans into Egypt. But the Chaldeans were Abraham settled. You understand? Because that area is where Shem was. You understand? That area is where Shem was. And then once Nimrod came on the scene, you understand, the area was called Babel, you understand, called Babel. Why? Because Nimrod in Babylon, you understand, that was some of Iraq, you understand, that was that area when Nimrod got on the scene. But Abraham, you understand right here, he's coming from the land of the Chaldees up into Egypt and bringing them this information. You understand? So this is where the Egyptians, you understand, when you see certain hieroglyphics of them, you understand, looking at the sun and, trying to, doing certain things, they actually learn this information, you understand, from Abraham. They learned it from a Shemitic person, you understand, not a Hamitic person. They lost the ways of the Most High. They lost the ways of their God. So the Most High wasn't working with them, you understand? But he's translated Enoch to come to the heavens, you understand? He showed Enoch this stuff, and Enoch passed it on down. Is that it on that? Okay, so that's just it on that. So we wanted to show Abraham of where the Egyptians, you understand, originally got the things from. You understand? Let's go over to Genesis 15 now. Genesis 15 and 12.
All right, Genesis chapter 15, verse 12. And when the sun was going down, a deep sleep fell upon Abram, and lo, a horror of great darkness fell upon him.
So Abraham was in a sleep state right now. Keep going.
And he said unto Abram, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in the land that is not theirs.
Know that surety thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs. You understand? A land that is not theirs. Keep going.
And shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years.
And shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. You understand? Because Abraham, the Most High told Abraham to go into the land of Canaan. You understand? You understand? Abraham went into the land of Canaan. His children dwelt there, but there was a famine in the land. You understand? And then the Israelites had to move out. You understand? And go into Egypt because of the famine. Keep reading that.
Verse 14. And also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge.
Also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge.
And afterwards shall they come out with great substance.
Right, and afterward they shall come out with great substance. You understand? Spoiling the Egyptians when they come out with Moses in the Red Sea. You understand? They left with great substance. Keep going.
Verse 15. And thou shalt go to thy fathers in peace. Thou shalt be buried in a good old age.
Right, thou shalt be buried in a good old age. But, okay, so we see that Abraham right here, it says his seed is actually going to serve captivity in a strange land that is not theirs. You understand? In a strange land. Let's go over to Genesis 37. Genesis the 37th chapter. To chronologically put these things in order. Genesis 37, and let's start at verse 27, showing the lineage of Jacob and his son. Genesis 37 and 27.
All right, Genesis chapter 37, verse 27. Come and let us sell him to the Ishmaelites.
Come and let us sell him to the Ishmaelites. You understand? Ishmael was Isaac's brother. You understand? And Hagar, which was an Egyptian, and Abraham, which was a so-called Negro. You understand? He would have been a Negro. They had a child, Ishmael. You understand? Who possessed the land of so-called Arabia. You understand? And so that's where you get your Ishmaelites or your Arabs from. So that's who their forefather is, the Ishmaelites. Keep reading.
And let not our hand be upon him. For he is our brother and our flesh.
For he is our brother and of our flesh. Keep going.
And his brethren were content.
And his brethren were content. So we're going to see, and it's talking about Joseph, right? Read to verse 28.
Then there passed by Midianites, merchantmen, and they drew and lifted up Joseph out of the pit, and sold Joseph to the Ishmaelites for 20 pieces of silver.
Right.
And they brought Joseph into Egypt.
And they brought Joseph into Egypt. So this is Joseph now, okay? He's going into Egypt because his brothers actually sold him when Joseph had a dream that his brothers would be bowed down to him, you understand? Or that, his brothers took offense to that, you understand? Like, wait a minute, you the youngest, and you had this dream about, us bowing down to you, you understand? Not knowing that when the Israelites came into Canaan because of a famine, they were going to have to bow because Joseph was actually anointed Pharaoh, you understand? And that was what that dream was about, but they didn't know it at the time, you understand? So they took offense to it. They sold him to the Ishmaelites, you understand? They sold him over into Egypt. Let's get Genesis 41. So now we know that Joseph sold him over into Egypt. Genesis 41 and 28.
All right, Genesis chapter 41, verse 28. This is the thing which I have spoken unto Pharaoh. What the Most High is about to do, he showeth unto Pharaoh. Behold, there come 7 years of great plenty throughout all the land of Egypt, and there shall arise after them 7 years of famine, and all the plenty shall be forgotten in the land of Egypt, and the famine shall consume the land.
Right, so Joseph's job was to interpret the dreams that the Pharaoh had, you understand? Joseph was sent into prison, he interpreted some dreams, you understand? And the great fame came about him, you understand? To the point where the Pharaoh wanted to know about who this guy was interpreting dreams, you understand? So he interpreted Pharaoh's dream, you understand? And he showed Pharaoh that the dream that he had, it was going to be 7 years of plentiness and 7 years of famine, you understand? So this is where the story is picking up. Keep going.
Verse 31. And the plenty shall not be known in the land by reason of that famine following, for it shall be very grievous.
For it shall be very grievous.
And for that the dream was doubled unto Pharaoh twice. And it is because the thing is established by the Most High, and the Most High will shortly bring it to pass. Now therefore let Pharaoh look out a man discreet and wise, and set him over the land of Egypt.
Now therefore let Pharaoh look out a man discreet and wise, and set him over the land of Egypt. Keep going.
Let Pharaoh do this, and let him appoint officers over the land, and take up the 5th part of the land of Egypt in the 7 plenteous years.
Right, so they know the 7 plenteous years is coming, so he had to set up officers to make sure that everything ran smoothly, you understand? Because the 7 years of famine will hit right after that, but the double was going to come to the years of plentiness. Keep going.
Verse 35, and let them gather all the food of those good years that come, and lay up corn under the hand of Pharaoh, and let them keep food in the cities.
Right, let them keep food in the city. So the famine, you understand, went out about the whole earth. That's why Canaan had a famine, you understand. Not only Canaan, but Egypt and other parts. So Egypt was kind of like an economic hub at this time, you understand. That's how it became so great. We're going to read about it. Keep going.
Verse 36, and that food shall be restored to the land against the 7 years of famine.
So they shall store up for the 7 years of famine. Keep going.
Which shall be in the land of Egypt, that the land perish not through the famine.
Right.
And the thing was good in the eyes of Pharaoh and in the eyes of all his servants. And Pharaoh said unto his servants, can we find such a one as this, a man in whom the Spirit of the Most High is?
Right. So who is the Spirit upon? Can we find a man? You understand? Pharaoh wants to know what the Spirit of man was. Keep going.
And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, forasmuch as the Most High showed thee all this, there is none so discreet and wise as thou art.
Right, so since you interpreted this and you knew about it, man, I'm going to just set you over it. You understand? You pretty much the wisest person I came in contact with. Keep going.
Verse 40, thou shalt be over my house, and according unto thy word shall all my people be ruled.
So all my people be ruled, okay? So all my people be ruled. Keep going.
Only in the throne will I be greater than thou.
Only in the throne will I be greater than thou. So one question is, we got to find out who this Pharaoh is. You understand? We got to find out who this Pharaoh is. And another question is, after the Pharaoh died, who was the king that did not know Joseph? You understand? But keep going.
Verse 41, and Pharaoh said unto Joseph, see, I have set thee over all the land of Egypt.
I have set thee over all the land of Egypt. Now this is a Hebrew, mind you. This is a Hebrew over the people of Mizraim, or over the people of the Hamitic race, you understand, or Egypt. Keep going.
And Pharaoh took off his ring from his hand, and put it upon Joseph's hand, and arrayed him in vestures of fine linen, and put a gold chain about his neck. Verse 43, and he made him to ride in the second chariot which he had. And they cried before him, bow the knee, and he made him ruler over all the land of Egypt.
And he made him ruler over all the land of Egypt. So Pharaoh is anointed king at this time. Keep going.
Verse 44, and Pharaoh said unto Joseph, I am Pharaoh, and without thee shall no man lift up his hand or foot in all the land of Egypt.
Right.
And Pharaoh called Joseph's name
Zaphapaniah.
And he gave him to his wife, Asenath, the daughter of Potiphar, priest of On. And Joseph went out over all the land of Egypt. Verse 46, and Joseph was 30 years old when he stood before Pharaoh, king of Egypt.
Joseph was 30 when he stood before Pharaoh, king of Egypt.
And Joseph went out from the presence of Pharaoh and went throughout all the land of Egypt.
Right.
And in the 7 years, and in the 7 plenteous years, the earth brought forth by handfuls. And he gathered up all the food of the 7 years, which were in the land of Egypt, and laid up the food in the cities. The food of the field, which was round about every city, laid he up in the same.
So Joseph was in control of this, you understand? Joseph was the commander of keeping track of the food going in, you understand, and how to distribute it amongst different countries, you understand? Joseph took in the corner, or he oversaw this. So Joseph is a commander at this time, you understand? He's running the whole operations that's going on in Egypt, you understand? He's running the whole show. So this is a Hebrew right here, you understand? Running the whole show. He knows how to govern, you understand? Why? Because these Hamites didn't know how to govern, you understand? Pharaoh needed a wise man, you understand, of how to control this stuff. So it knew it was double plentiness coming in. Joseph actually took control and started commanding and started operating under the hands of Pharaoh about throughout all of Egypt, you understand? What to distribute in different countries, you understand? So this is this economic hub that we're talking about. Keep going.
Verse 49, and Joseph gathered corn as the sand of the sea, very much, until he left number, for it was without number.
Right. So let's see now who Joseph was. And let's see who this Pharaoh is. You understand? We're going to read about this Pharaoh, and we're going to read about the son. And this is online. You understand? This is online that you can actually Google this. The king of Egypt at the time. You understand? And let's see who this person was. Can you read this name right here?
Zoser.
Zoser, or what? Zoser. Z-O-S-E-R, or D-J-O-S-E-R. And you can go look this up when you go home. You understand? We're going to read about Zoser and Imhotep. Read this. This is online. You can Google this. It's actually Wikipedia.
How do you spell the Zoser?
D-J-O-S-E-R. D-J-O-S-E-R.
Zoser and Imhotep.
Zoser, and Imhotep. Keep going.
One of the most famous contemporaries of King Zoser was his advisor, head of the royal shipyard, and overseer of all stone works, Imhotep.
Imhotep.
Imhotep oversaw stone building projects such as the tombs of King Zoser and King Shekemhet.
Right.
It is possible that Imhotep was mentioned in the also famous papyrus Wesker and the story called Khufu and the Magicians. But because the papyrus was badly damaged at the beginning, Imhotep's name is lost today.
Imhotep's name is lost today. So they claim that Imhotep's name is lost today, really, because they don't want you to trace back who Imhotep was. You understand? Because it's going to link right into the Bible of a king handing over his, the authority to Joseph. You understand? But keep going.
A papyrus from the ancient Egyptian temple of Teptunis, dated to the 2nd century AD, preserves a long story in the Demotic script about Zoser and Imhotep. At Zoser's time, Imhotep was such importance and fame that he was honored by being mentioned on statues of King Zoser in his necropolis at Saqqara.
Right, so he was honored by being mentioned on the statuses of King Zoser. You understand? Let's read further down and let's get Joseph and was Imhotep, the comparison. This is on Wikipedia as well. It's comparison between Joseph and what Imhotep did. Read that. Yeah, just read Joseph and then read Imhotep. Yeah.
All right. The first bullet is Joseph, second in command under Pharaoh.
Joseph was second in command under Pharaoh.
Imhotep, second in command over Pharaoh Zoser.
Second in command under Pharaoh Zoser. Okay, so Imhotep and Zoser, this was the second in command. You understand? Keep going.
Second bullet point. Lived to be 110. Joseph lived to be 110 years of age.
Right.
Imhotep lived to be 110 years of age.
Right. Lived to be 110 years of age. Keep going.
Third, Joseph, great architect and builder.
Right.
Imhotep, great architect and builder.
Right.
Fourth, Joseph stored up corn during 7 years of plenty. Imhotep stored up corn during 7 years of plenty.
Stored up corn during 7 years of plenty, and it's actually a monument right here where it actually shows. It's called the famine steel, where it actually shows 7 years of famine on this monument right here. These hieroglyphics, it actually shows the 7 years of famine. So if you type in the famine stela, there's actually a stone where it has the hieroglyphics on it showing the 7 years of famine. You understand? It's showing the 7 years of famine. So this is more proof right here that these 7 years of famine did actually happen. You understand? This is right online, right on the encyclopedia.
Famine what again?
It says the famine, F-A-M-I-N-E, and then S-T-E-L-A, Stella.
T-E-L-A.
S-T-E-L-A, showing the famine of 7 years. You can look this up. Okay? So let's finish reading this comparison list. So we stored up corn for 7 years and stored up corn during 7 years of plenty.
Check it out.
All right, the next bullet. Joseph saw 7 years of famine and fed people.
Right?
Imhotep saw 7 years of famine and fed people.
Right.
Next bullet. Joseph, interpreter of dreams. Imhotep, interpreter of dreams. Next, Joseph built pyramids and palaces. Imhotep built pyramids and palaces. Next bullet. Joseph, overseer of physicians. Imhotep was a physician.
Right.
Joseph instituted income tax of 20%. Imhotep instituted income tax of 20%. Joseph married into the priesthood of On. Imhotep married into the priesthood of On.
Right.
Joseph, knowledge of astrology. Imhotep, knowledge of astrology.
Right, and that's why you had Egyptologists always referring to Imhotep laws, you understand? But Joseph had the knowledge of astrology, you understand? Because Abraham passed it on to his sons and passed it on to Joseph, you understand? So they had this information already, you understand? So that's the comparison list that you can kind of see that Joseph was Imhotep, you understand? And you can get this online.
Where did you get the comparison from?
This
Imhotep
is, if you type in, let's see. So this is on Wikipedia. Joseph was Imhotep.
Okay.
Joseph was
Okay.
Imhotep.
Yes, sir. Imhotep.
Hotep.
Right. And they always like to, you know, these Egyptologists always like to pull out Imhotep, you understand, and go, Imhotep had laws, he knew about the stars and astronomy, you know, understand? Like, but Joseph was Imhotep, but they don't want to believe that, you understand? But that's why we show that monument showing that the famine stele, you understand, or stela, was actually a hieroglyphic showing the 7 years of famine, you understand? So why don't they never pull this out? You understand? But let's go back to the scriptures. We left off in Genesis, what, 41? 41 and
41 and 49.
41 and 49.
Yes,
All right,
sir.
so we're done with that. Let's go to Genesis 46. Genesis, the 46th chapter. 46. And we'll start at 30. We can start at 33.
All right, Genesis chapter 46, verse 33. And it came to pass when Pharaoh shall call you and shall say, what is your occupation?
So this is the brothers coming over to Joseph now, you understand? Because they're about to get the land of Goshen, you understand? And the land of Goshen is actually where Alexandria is, you understand? That whole land right there where Alexandria is, that was the land of Goshen. Keep going.
Verse 34. That ye shall say, thy servant's trade hath been about cattle from our youth even until now.
Right, they were Hyksos, you understand, or the shepherds, you understand? They were shepherding the cattle, you understand, or shepherding goats. Keep going.
Both we and also our fathers, we may dwell in the land of Goshen.
That you may dwell in the land of Goshen. So this is where the Israelites were placed in Egypt, you understand? Or kind of upper Egypt, you understand, where Goshen. Keep going.
For every shepherd is an abomination unto the Egyptians.
See that? Every shepherd is an abomination unto the Egyptians. So they didn't want to, you know, they wanted to keep them, you understand, up until the upper area, you understand, and not really migrate with the Egyptians, you understand? They were abominations unto the Egyptians, you understand? So this is Joseph right here actually giving them a portion of the land that you're going to have to stay here, you understand? And we're going to see, reading in the book of Jasher, how they actually conspire against the children of Israel to get them into slavery, you understand?
So I heard on the side note of the Shepherd Kings. Shepherd Kings, some people say they were the Hyksos or Hyksos, right? Some say they were Asiatic, like another name for us, and some say they was Israelites or Edomites that came into Egypt and went into things. So, from your understanding of the word, who were the Hyksos or Hyksos? How do you say?
Hyksos are actually shepherd kings. You understand? That's actually what Hyksos means. It's a shepherd king. You understand? So we read right here that these occupations. You understand? When Pharaoh asked, "What were the shepherds?" You understand? What was going to be your occupation? And it says, "Thus you shall say that servants have betrayed, have been about the cattle from our youth, even until now, both we and also our father." You understand? That you may dwell in the land of Goshen, for every shepherd is an abomination unto the Egyptians. So we read right here that the Israelites were, you understand, they thought they were shepherds, you understand? So this is what the scripture said, but we are going to hit on Jasher because the Edomites actually did try to make war while the Israelites were in the land, you understand? We're going to read about this. So some Edomites did come into Egypt trying to make war under Zepho, you understand? And then they got beat, they got put out, and that's when Zepho went up to Japheth and moved him over east, you understand? Him and his army, because he was, when he lost and got captured, he actually escaped, you understand? The book of Jasher talks about that, but those Hyksos is actually Israel, you understand? They were Israelites, what we just read in Genesis 46 and 34.
Right.
So, okay, so that's an abomination. So we see that they got the land of Goshen, which was Alexandria, you understand? Alexandria, Egypt, that's going to be the land of Goshen, you understand? Right now, let's go over to Genesis 47 now. 47, read verse 1.
Okay.
All right, Genesis chapter 47, verse 1. Then Joseph came and told Pharaoh and said, my father and my brethren and their flocks and their herds and all that they have are come out of the land of Canaan, and behold, they are in the land of Goshen.
Behold, they are in the land of Goshen. So the people that was dwelling in Canaan, the Israelites, the 70 souls, you understand, they're dwelling in the land of Goshen. Keep going.
And he took some of his brethren, even 5 men, and presented them unto Pharaoh.
Right.
And Pharaoh said unto his brethren, what is your occupation? And they said unto Pharaoh, thy servants are shepherds. both we and also our fathers.
Right.
They said moreover unto Pharaoh, for the sojourn in the land are we come, for thy servants have no pasture for their flocks, for the famine is sore in the land of
The
Canaan.
famine is sore in the land of Canaan, okay? Because, why? The Most High made it that way. So that Joseph can actually go into Egypt, rule, you understand? So all this is the plan of the Most High. But they like to bring this out and say, oh, you know, y'all have to come over into Egypt, you understand? But you're a Negro, you're a Shemite, you understand? So what are you relating yourself back to Egypt for? Saying that, you know, why you come out the land of Canaan, they always had to go into Egypt, you understand? When we know that Canaan is the Holy Land, you understand? But they like to pull this out saying that Egypt was great, you understand? But the Bible, you understand, is a white man's book, and that he's tainting the images of Egypt, you understand? But we just saw a monument of 7 years famine, of 7 years plentiness, you understand? So we know that if you're going by, you know, what they call the hieroglyphics and certain monuments and certain pictures on the hieroglyphics, then we can show them this. You understand? Like, listen, the story is true right here. You understand? We just pulled out this certain hieroglyphic that we just showed. You understand? Keep going.
Verse 5. And Pharaoh spake unto Joseph, saying, Thy father and thy brethren are come up. Excuse me, I didn't read the rest of verse 4. For the famine is sore in the land of Canaan. Now therefore, we pray thee, let thy servants dwell in the land of Goshen. Verse 5. And Pharaoh spoke unto Joseph, saying, Thy father and thy brethren are come unto thee, and the land of Egypt is before thee. In the best of the land make thy father and brethren to do well. In the land of Goshen let them dwell. If thou knowest any man of activity amongst them, then make them rulers over my cattle. And Joseph brought in Jacob his father, and set him before Pharaoh, and Jacob blessed Pharaoh.
And Jacob blessed Pharaoh. You understand? Jacob, he brought in his father, and Jacob blessed him. You understand? Because he knew that the Most High was working with Joseph, you understand? So he knew that the father he would come from, you understand? He must know the ways of the Most High as well, you understand? And Jacob did, you understand? From Isaac to Abraham. So from there, let's go to Exodus, the 1st chapter. We see that they in the land of Goshen. They living, you know, pretty good. You understand? They got their own land. You understand? Joseph brought his 70 souls in there because it was a 7-year famine. You understand? So just, you know, bring all the people and you can live over here because I'm government. You understand? So we got that. Let's go to Exodus 1 and we can start with the first verse.
All right, Exodus chapter 1, verse 1. Now these are the names of the children of Israel, which came into Egypt. Every man in his household came with Jacob.
Right.
Reuben, Simeon, Levi, and Judah, Issachar, Zebulun, and Benjamin, Dan, Naphtali, Gad, and Asher. And all the souls that came out of the loins of Jacob were 70 souls.
Right.
For Joseph was in Egypt already. And Joseph died, and all his brethren, and all their generation. And the children of Israel were fruitful, and increased abundantly, and multiplied, and waxed exceeding mighty. And the land was filled with them. Now there arose up a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph. And he said unto his people, Behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we. Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply, and it come to pass that when there falleth out any war, they join also unto our enemies and fight against us, and so get them out of the land. Therefore they did set over the taskmasters to afflict them with their burdens, and they built for Pharaoh treasure cities, Pithom and
It
Ramses.
said they built for Pharaoh treasure cities, Pithom and Ramses. So they like to attribute this that was the Pharaoh at the time, Ramses, but we're going to see who that Pharaoh was. Verse 12.
But the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew.
The more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew. And we're going to read in the book of Jasher also how they conspired when they said, let's deal with them wisely. We're going to see how they dealt with Israel. Same thing they're doing today. Keep going.
And they were grieved because of the children of Israel. And the Egyptians made the children of Israel to serve with rigor.
To serve with rigor.
And they made their lives bitter with hard bondage in mortar and in brick, and in all manner of service in the field. All their service wherein they made them serve was with rigor.
Right.
And the king of Egypt spake to the Hebrew midwives, of which the name of the one was Shiphrah, and the name of the other Puah. And he said, when you do the office of a midwife to a Hebrew woman, and see them upon the stools, if it be a son, then you shall kill him.
So this is them trying to kill off the man-child of the children of Israel. You understand? Because You destroy the man, that means you destroy the seed. You understand? You destroy that nation or that lineage that carries on the nation. You understand? So kill the man. Keep going.
But if it be a daughter, then she shall live.
Right, but if it be a daughter, then she shall live. You understand? Showing that the man's influence, and if the man is taken down, then the whole nation is crushed. You understand? So when you have men out here, understand, and not following the laws, statutes, and ways of the Most High, that means our whole nation is off. You understand? So they knew to take the man out first. You understand? They knew how to take the men out, and then the daughters, you can keep them alive because you understand they're not as strong as the man. You understand? And gonna fight. You understand? And that's what war is about. So let's go to the book of Jasher now. The book of Jasher, chapter 58, 58 and 1. Let's see the story of Joseph more in detail, and how Joseph became king, and how he was actually ruler over the next Pharaoh who died. He was actually ruler over that king. You understand? So Joseph had the whole land of Egypt. Let's go to Jasher 58 and 1.
15%.
Jasher chapter 58 verse 1.
Okay?
And it came to pass in the 32nd year of the Israelites going down to Egypt,
Right?
that is in the 71st year of the life of Joseph, in that year died Pharaoh king of Egypt, and Magron his son reigned in his stead.
And who?
And Magron his son reigned in his stead.
Magron, his son, reigned in his stead. So listen, it says, and it came to pass in the 32nd year of the Israelites going down into Egypt, so this is the 32nd year of them staying there. It says that in the 71st year of the life of Joseph, it says, in that year died the Pharaoh king of Egypt, the same Pharaoh that we just showed, Zozer or Zozer, you understand, or Dozier. That was the Pharaoh at the time. It said he died. Who reigned in his stead?
Magron.
Magron. Okay, that's Magron. So the next king was Magron. You understand? Not Ramesses, not Pithom. It says they built cities for Ramesses, because just like you would build a city today, you understand, for so-called Abraham Lincoln, you understand, that doesn't mean he's the president of this time. You understand? So they will build a city for a particular individual that they reverence. You understand? But keep going.
Verse 2. And Pharaoh commanded Joseph before his death to be a father to his son,
Right.
Magron, and that Magron should be under the care of Joseph and under his counsel.
Right.
And all Egypt consented to this thing, that Joseph should be king over them. For all the Egyptians loved Joseph as of heretofore.
Right, because he was Imhotep. Keep going.
Only Magron, the son of Pharaoh, sat upon the father's throne. And he became king in those days in his father's stead.
Right.
Magron was 41 years old when he began to reign. In 40 years he reigned in Egypt. And all Egypt called his name Pharaoh, after the name of his father. And it was their custom to do in Egypt to every king that reigned over them.
So Magron reigned when he was 41 years old, you understand? But at the time when the old Pharaoh died, you understand, he left Joseph in charge to raise him up, you understand? He left him in charge. But keep going.
Verse 5. And it came to pass when Pharaoh reigned in his father's stead, he placed the laws of Egypt and all the affairs of government in the hand of Joseph,
Right.
as his father had commanded him. And Joseph became king over Egypt, for he superintended over all Egypt, and all Egypt was under his care and under his counsel. For all Egypt inclined to Joseph after the death of Pharaoh, and they loved him exceedingly to reign over them.
Right, because Joseph was actually the commander and handling all the food that was coming in, you understand? So this is Imhotep right here. He had astronomy, the knowledge of mathematics, you understand? So they loved Joseph over here. Keep going.
Verse 7. But there were some people amongst them who did not like him,
There were
saying,
some people amongst them who did not like him, saying what?
No stranger shall reign over us.
No stranger shall reign over us. And they knew that he was a Hebrew, you understand? They still knew the lineage and the difference between the Hebrews and the Egyptians, you understand? Matter of fact, let's get Exodus 11 and 7 to show that the Most High put a difference between us. But we still going to go back there, but Exodus 11 and 7 to show that right quick. The Most High put a difference.
All right, Exodus chapter 11, verse 7. But against any of the children of Israel shall not a dog move his tongue against man or beast, that ye may know how that the Most High doeth put a difference between the Egyptians and Israel.
See that? The Egyptians and Israel, there's a difference between them. Even though they dark skinned, they still come from different families, you understand? One is Hamitic and one is Shemitic. You understand? Egyptians are from Mizraim, you understand? Mizraim, which was the Egyptians, you understand? We're from Jacob, so the Israelites were from a different seed, and they knew this, you understand? Let's pick it back up in Joshua 58 and read read verse 7 again.
But there were some people amongst them who did not like him, saying, No stranger shall reign over us.
No stranger shall reign over us.
Still the whole government of Egypt devolved in those days upon Joseph.
Right.
After the death of Pharaoh, he being the regulator, doing as he liked throughout the land without anyone interfering.
Right.
And all Egypt was under the care of Joseph, and Joseph made war with all his surrounding enemies, and he had subdued them. Also all the land and all the Philistines unto the borders of Canaan.
To show you that there were still wars going on even when Joseph ruled, you understand? But he overcame them, you understand? Because the Most High was with him and the Most High blessed him. Keep going.
Unto the borders of Canaan did Joseph subdue, and they were all under this power, and they gave a yearly tax unto Joseph.
And they gave a yearly tax, and we just read about the comparisons, you understand, the 20% tax over the Egyptians, you understand? Keep going.
Verse 9, And Pharaoh king of Egypt sat upon his throne in his father's stead.
Check this out. Pharaoh sat upon, and king of Egypt sat upon his throne in his father's stead, and what?
But he was under the control and counsel of Joseph.
But he was under the control and counsel of Joseph, you understand? So Joseph actually ruled over him, you understand? Joseph ruled over him. Keep going.
As he was at first under the control of his father.
As he was at first in control under his father.
Neither did he reign but in the land of Egypt only, under the counsel of Joseph. But Joseph reigned over the whole country at that time.
Joseph reigned over the whole country at that time. Keep going.
From Egypt unto the great river Parath.
Right.
And Joseph was successful in all his ways, and the Most High was with him. And the Most High gave Joseph additional wisdom, and honor, and glory, and love toward him in the hearts of the Egyptians and throughout the land. And Joseph reigned over the whole country 40 years.
Joseph reigned over the whole country 40 years. So now, let's get chapter 65 to show you that the king was actually conspiring against the Israelites and how he actually put them into captivity. Chapter 65 of the book of Jasher. Chapter 65 and 1.
All right, Jasher chapter 65, verse 1. And it came to pass after these things that all the counsels of Pharaoh, king of Egypt.
So the counselors, the Pharaoh, king of Egypt, you understand? And once you read in the earlier chapters, these counselors, they convinced that the king, like, hey, you know, this stranger is ruling over us. And when we read in Exodus, they're going to become mightier than we, you understand? So the counselors, you understand, that's under the Pharaoh conspired against him, you understand? Because why? Joseph had died at the time, you understand? Joseph died at the time, and the counselors was the one who actually influenced the king, you understand? This is still King Magron, but the counselors had an influence to tell him, like, you know, and these counselors didn't know about Joseph. They just knew it were strangers in the land, but Israel was becoming popular, you understand? And they knew that they was stronger and mightier than the Egyptians. So this is the conspiracy they put together. Keep reading.
And it came to pass after these things that all the counsels of Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and all the elders of Egypt assembled and came before the king and bowed down to the ground, and they sat before him.
And they sat before him. Keep going.
And the counselors and elders of Egypt spoke unto the king, saying, Behold, the people of the children of Israel is greater and mightier than we are.
Well, just like we just read in Exodus. Keep going.
And thou knowest all the evil which they did unto us in the road when we returned from battle.
Right, because they had went to war. Keep going.
And thou hast also seen their strong power, for this power is unto them from their fathers. For but a few men stood up against a people numerous as the sand, and smote them at the edge of the sword. And of themselves not one has fallen, so that if they had been numerous, they would then have utterly destroyed them.
See that? So they knew that Israel had a great power to them. You understand? They knew that Israel, like, man, you know, we just signed these guys in battle. They were smiting everybody. You understand? So if they men-child start to grow up, you understand, and become more, they're going to become more and greater than we are. You understand? We might be in servitude to them. So they have to put a plan together to try to enslave us. You understand? Let's keep going.
Now verse 5.
Verse 5.
Now therefore give us counsel what to do with them,
Right?
until we gradually destroy them from amongst us, lest they become too numerous for us in the land.
Lest they become too numerous for us in the land. The story we just read in Exodus. Keep going.
For if the children of Israel should increase in the land, they will become an obstacle to us.
Right.
And if any war should happen to take place, they with their great strength would join enemy against us and fight against us, destroy us from the land and go away from it.
Right, so they conspiring with this king, King Magron, you understand? Not Ramesses, of how to, they was afraid of the Israelites, you understand? They understood that they had great power. They understood that their God was with them. Keep going.
Verse 7, so the king answered the elders of Egypt and said unto them, this is the plan advised against Israel, from which we will not depart.
This is the plan devised against Israel, from which we will not depart.
Verse 8, behold, in the land are Pithom and Ramesses, cities unfortified against battle.
Behold, in the land are Pithom and Ramesses, cities unfortified against battle.
It behooves you and us to build them and to fortify them.
Right, because they didn't have no building or no type of structure to actually battle some of the other nations that would come in. So let's see what they did.
Verse 9, now therefore go you also and act cunningly toward them, and proclaim a voice in Egypt and in Goshen at the command of the king, saying, all you men of Egypt, Goshen, Pathros, and all their inhabitants,
right.
The king has commanded us to build Pithom and Ramesses and to fortify them for battle. Who amongst you of all Egypt, of the children of Israel, and all of the inhabitants of the cities, are willing to build with us, shall each have his wages, given to him daily at the king's order. So go you first and do cunningly, and gather yourselves and come to Pithom and Ramesses to build.
Right, so they said, you need to go talk to the children of Israel. They gave the king like, hey, say, and because the king declared this, say unto them, you children of Israel, the people of Goshen, let's build cities to, make sure that nobody comes in and battle. And we're going to pay you to do it. You understand? We're going to pay you to actually build these cities, and you're going to build it with us. You understand? So it was a joint collaboration at first. You understand? The Egyptians and the Israelites working to build these cities. But we're going to see what the plan was. Keep going.
Verse 11, and while you are building, cause a proclamation of this kind to be made throughout Egypt every day at the command of the king.
So while you're building, cause a proclamation of this kind to be made throughout Egypt every day at the commandment of the king. So all Egypt knew about this, you understand? The Israelites knew about it, the Egyptians knew about it. Keep going.
Verse 12, and when some of the children of Israel shall come to build with you, you shall give them their wages daily for a few days.
So when the children of Israel come to build with you, give them their wages for a few days, you understand? Just give them their wages for a time, you understand, and then what?
And after they shall have built with you for their daily hire,
right?
Drag yourselves away from them daily, one by one, in secret.
Drag yourselves away from them by secret, you understand, day by day. So this is what's taking place, you understand? First we're going to be with them and build them, but we're going to surely drag ourselves away that they're not even going to notice because they get paid, you understand? Okay, we got a little money, so we operate in this system right here. We comfortable, you understand? Keep going.
And then you shall rise up and become their taskmasters.
And then you shall rise up and become their taskmasters and officers. So we're going to come away from them, act like we're building with them, you understand? That we at their level, and then we're going to sneak away and actually be over them. You understand? So this is the plan right here. Keep going.
And you shall leave them afterward to build without wages.
Right.
And should they refuse, then force them with all your might to build.
Right. And force them with all your might to build. Should they refuse, you understand? Keep going.
And if you do this, it will be well with us to strengthen our land against the children of Israel. For on account of the fatigue of the building and the work, the children of Israel would decrease, because you would deprive them from their wives day by day.
You would deprive them from their wives day by day. So because the men had to go and build, they couldn't really build with their families, you understand? And then if the children of Israel wanted to go away, then the king would send a commandment, you understand, because they had taskmasters to rule over them. No, like keep building, you understand? We got to get this done, just in case of a big war, you understand? So if you're getting paid and they doing this, you understand, you're going to be like, all right, I'm going to keep going. You understand? Just like our people are. You understand? Keep going.
Verse 15.
Right?
And all the elders of Egypt heard the counsel of the king, and the counsel seemed good in their eyes, and in the eyes of the servants of Pharaoh.
And in the eyes of the servants of Pharaoh. So everybody was on board with this. You understand? Everybody was on board with this. Keep going.
And in the eyes of all Egypt.
And in the eyes of all Egypt. So the Egyptians agreed with it. Keep going.
And they did according to the word of the king.
And they did according to the word of the king. Let's go back to Joshua 58 and verse 19. Joshua 58 and 19. So we can see right now, this was the plan when they said, let's conspire against them because they might multiply over us, you understand, and take over us. But they conspired to build cities for Ramesses and for Pithom, you understand, and they was going to be with them at first. Then they slowly took themselves away, you understand, and put taskmasters over them. and gave them wages, you understand? So now they in bondage, they in slavery, you understand? They devised wisely with them. Read that.
Jasher 58 and 19. And the Most High gave all the mighty men of Esau and the children of the east into the hand of Joseph.
So the Most High, we wanted to go ahead and show this, that this was the battle that they was talking about. You understand? That they seen how Jacob actually ruled in battle. It says Esau came up. You understand? So the Edomites. Now you see why the Greeks don't want you to know who you are. You understand? And they want to say that, oh, we the Egyptians. You understand? But not knowing that the Egyptians got all they might from the Israelites. You understand? You read that again.
Verse 19. And the Most High gave all the mighty men of Esau and the children